We are live again with Fordify Live. Welcome to the show, everybody. And today, I'm going to talk about disruption. The disruption of chat.openai.com. Now, I know you probably have already played with it. If you haven't, I'll give you the link where you can go get your account and play with it. But what's really important to understand is this has been around for years. And there's been programs like Jasper.ai and Quillbot and Copy.ai and a bunch of other resources that marketing and salespeople can use to enhance and punch up their copy. But chat.openai.com is transformational and disruptive. And that's why I wanted to dedicate this episode to it. So I'm going to cover some of the basics you need to know, but I want you to be thinking not just how it's going to impact you right now, but I want you to think about the impact that AI is going to have on the future. So the impact is, I believe, is going to transform how we market. Chat's taken it by storm. You can create art. There are people who are using AI to create stories and narratives and social media plans and marketing calendars and podcast episodes and SEO code. I mean, it's so much. So I definitely are going to want, below in the comments, we are live right now on LinkedIn and Facebook and YouTube, and we're going to be talking about the impact that AI is going to have right now. When I first got this, I pulled my team into my office. And so, wave to Alex and Devin, Alex and Devin, my producer and marketing director in the room right now. Because I pulled them in the room and I said, guys, you better get your resumes ready because you're going to have to up your skills, because they used to have to write all the copy themselves and they have to do all the marketing plans. Now, chat.ai, or I'm just going to call it Chat GPT, and the derivatives of it aren't going to make them irreplaceable. It's only going to make them, the human factor, more valuable. So we're going to talk about the disruption, what you need to know, and some things that you need to be prepared for along the way. So let's move on to the next piece. So I want you to go to write this down, and you can go to, if you haven't already, by now, I would imagine you probably have already heard about this, but I'm going to put this up full screen. Go to chat.openai.com, get your account, and play with it. But I wanted to actually talk about some important dangers that you're going to have. That just because you can get the chat to write copy doesn't mean that the copy is accurate, doesn't mean that the copy is correct. We good, Alex? Okay, he just wanted to start the recording. Okay, good. We got the recording going there, and I guess I'm going to hit the recording button over here because we didn't get that going either. All right, so continuing the conversation with how chat.ai is going to, chat.openai.com is going to impact your business. Can you tell I'm excited about this? Can you tell I'm just like over the moon about this? But I'm also, as a CEO of a marketing agency, concerned because I've already had a couple clients call me and say, well, why am I spending, all this money with you when I can use this tool? Well, like any tool, you need to become a craftsman. You need to understand that it can cut both ways. And so that's where I want to start the conversation. And again, if you have comments, type it in below. So misleading or inappropriate content, just because it writes content doesn't mean it's right. It's going to have the lack of the human touch. And then there's all these ethical considerations. If I used this program, and I'm just going to call it Chat GPT for the rest of this episode. If I use an AI to write copy, is it plagiarism? Well, I'm not giving you legal advice. This is for informational and educational purposes only. But I would tell you that it's like hiring a person who read everything on the internet who's then going to come and work for you. So if there's a certain formula you want to follow, like you can type into it, and I'll do some real life examples here in a second. And I'd love for someone to put a comment into how you're using it now and what have you used it for, because I'm going to do some live examples here. So in the comments, if you're watching this live, which I hope you are, put in some comments on how you're currently using it and how it's impacting your business. But getting back to the point of my team, so we're using these tools, and we use Jasper and Copy AI and Quillbot and a few others. But the purpose of the ChatGPT, which makes it different, is you have threaded conversations that spark ideas and make it easier. So the first takeaway is this is not a replacement for humans. It's a freight train that's going to disrupt everything, and you need to be on board, because if you sit on the sidelines and say, well, that's cheating, or, well, I got news for you, it's not going away. And like I said, I'm doing this episode explaining this because there's still a lot of people who, you'd be surprised, don't know how this is going to impact, but it's seriously going to impact your business. So let's review a couple of the key points. Be careful of the content. It's lack of human touch. I encourage you to rewrite or make it more relevant to you, because as everybody, if you're in a certain space like retail marketing or whatever business you're in, franchising, and let's say you have a quick serve restaurant and you're using this to create social media tweets. Well, guess what? If 5 other QSR companies, quick serve restaurants, are using it to create tweets for them, they're going to be very similar. And the more similar you are to everybody else, the less impactful it's going to make. So you're going to have to really up your creativity quite a bit. So what are the benefits of using it? So we talked about the dangers. Well, here's some of the benefits. You can use it to personalize the narratives. It's going to save you a ton of time in the creative process, and you can actually use it to do predictive analytics. So for us as a marketing company, when we create sales funnels, the more targeted you can get at customizing your message to your target market, the more effective your conversion rates are going to be. So you can actually, upload customer data and have AI analyze it for you and give you ideas on it. Now, I want to dig a little deeper into a couple of the pieces. So this is a graphic that was created, and source is Sequoia Capital. And this graphic's been going around the internet, which is, what's the AI landscape look right now? Well, if you just look at this, and I realize there's a lot of information on this screen, the point of this column right now is just look at the number of text AI elements. So we've got copy AI, and you can see them on there. There's a ton right now, and there's more and more. Like, this thing is building like wildfire. So there's more and more helping every day. And then you've got the video. So you've got text and video here. And I'm going to skip forward 2 slides, and I'm going to talk about image creation, speech technology, 3D rendering, coding. You can actually use this for coding. But let's jump into a real example. So I went ahead and I used chat.ai, and I went to it and I said, give me some creative titles for a podcast on the impact of AI and sales. And it whipped out 10. Now, I can ask it to use metaphors. I can be more specific. So I've got Blaine here. Blaine, I'd love to have you. So you used it for articles. So Blaine is here live. Blaine, what's your topic area? And I'm going to go live in a minute, and we're going to actually do ask me a question. And I want to show the viewers here today that may not be familiar with the impact of this, what this thing actually does. But let's go back to the point of this episode. The impact that this is going to have right now is transformative. This is disruptive. This is like when Uber came out, and I had clients that were attorneys, and they were DUI attorneys. Well, their business dropped 80% because people were taking Uber. So I want you to be thinking about not just how you can use this technology to improve and get ideas and help you, lower your employee costs and all those other things, but I want you to forward your thinking 30 days, 60 days, 6 months down the road. Now, normally I would have said 1 to 3 years. But this is transforming so quickly, daily, exponentially, that it's going to change the way Google indexes content, the way social media websites work with their algorithms. Because as soon as everybody starts using this, it's going to change it. It's already disrupting the way students are filling out their papers. And now there's a whole new industry of technology that are analyzing content to see if it was written by an AI. So before you jump in with both feet and think, oh, this is a savior, I'm going to write all my blog posts and write all my social media tweets with hashtags, and I'm going to create sales funnels and video scripts and all the other wonderful things that it can certainly do. If it's too closely following a theme, and the Google and the other search engines understand that, it's going to actually work against you. So Grant says it's definitely changing every day. It absolutely is. So so Grant says it's definitely changing every day. Blaine says it's not politically correct. So I spared you the article, but I'm happy how it turned out. So Blaine, right, of Momentum Seminars, he used it, but it might not be technically correct. And that's really important to understand, that just because it kicks out some content, the human factor has to be involved. That's why my staff has nothing to worry about. So give me a thumbs up, everybody. You're here. So they're fine. So they're not going to worry. I need them more than ever, especially like me being a visionary versus an integrator, somebody who's creative and thinking. I need those tactical people to make sure things, I was going to say something else, get done, because without them, this wouldn't have even been done. So we're gonna give praise to Alex for putting these slides together for me at the last minute, because I was getting ready to present and I'm like, hey, I need some visuals. And we could do a whole episode on how to plan ahead properly to be prepared, but that's a whole different episode. Today, let's go back to the point of this. So it's changing every day. It's everything. So Devin asked, okay, well, let's use it to write a sales letter. So when I click this button, I have to move some things off the screen because otherwise it'll get really weird. And I'm going to click this button here. And so now you should be able to see an example. I'm logged in to it. It says they're experiencing high demand. So that's normal. So if I say, write homepage copy for a dentist. I just made this up. I don't know. I have any clue what this is going to bring up. So welcome to our dental practice. And here it is kicking out the copy as we watch live on this. If I say, write the services page. Now you'll notice that it's continuing the thought. Page copy for my website. Now I'm not a dentist, but you get the point. So it gave homepage copy, or at least ideas. And now I'm going to have it write services. Now, obviously, the more information that I put in here, the more relevant the answers are going to be to this. If I say, create 5 or 4, we'll just do 4 social media posts using metaphors with hashtags. Now, again, watch how fast this puts it. So now it's writing the services content. Let's go ahead and write so you could actually go to your website right now and you could copy and paste content from your boring website that puts people into a coma, and you could turn it into more creative. So here's some social media posts. So, I mean, here we've got our dental office is shining. So just think about if you worked for a local business and you needed to create content. So this is going to, some of my copywriting buddies are like, I better find a new job. Well, I think you're still going to need to use humans. So just know that as we're going. So I'm going to jump back in. That was a real life example of it. And again, if you're on any social media right now, everybody's talking about this. Everybody's showing you what it's going to do. But I don't want you to think just about what it's doing right now. I want you to take your brain and fast forward it. And I want you to apply critical thinking skills to how this is going to impact your business. So in this case, I had it just do a quick example of give me some titles, and it came up with a bunch of titles for my podcast. All right, let's continue. So we talked about the different uses of it, and it can also write code. So we at Prime Concepts, we create custom plugins, and we create transformations of people's websites from boring to amazing, from transactional to transformative. So we have to write a lot of custom code. And so now with the aid of AI, we can actually have it write code. So this is a very simple example. We just typed in, create a pop-up window using JavaScript. Now that's a pretty basic thing, and there's plugins. But just to show you that the AI goes a lot further than just using it for questions and answers and things like that. So there's Lensa, and I know everybody probably played with this. Now this is one picture. So Lensa is an AI-driven app you can use on your phone, and you've seen people now post, I would imagine, all over social media where they've put up 10 pictures of themselves, and depending on what package they use, it creates 100 different images. And mine certainly has created some pretty wild images, so I didn't put them all up there. But the point is, AI is not just copy. And today, you're having to use a browser, and we get all excited. And for those of you that are old like me, you remember DOS when you first typed on a keyboard and the little green dots would fill in the text on the screen? And then there became visuals and oh, wow. And then Windows 95 came along and then it went escalated. Then Apple transformed how we interface. Well, this technology is going at such a rapid speed that this episode is going to be obsolete in 30 days. So what I'm talking about right now, in 30 days, it's going to be completely changed. So again, don't get seduced by technology. I want you to focus on how to use it. What cautions do you have to think about? And how do you leverage it to save time and elevate and accelerate your business growth? And that's really the whole concept of today's episode. All right. So what are some of the challenges of implementing AI in your business? Well, obviously, if you're trying to customize a solution for your business, the cost of implementation is high if you don't understand it or if your team doesn't understand it. And then, of course, like we've said, the ethical concerns, right? So this is very generic. I could go on for days about any one of these topics, but just because you can doesn't mean you should. So just be very careful. Just because you can certainly does not mean that you should. All right. So let's go one step further. So now you know what it is. You're going to go play with it. Below in the show notes, there's the link to where you can go. You get your account, the beta account while it's still free. The paid model is already there on the app. If you download the app, they want you to pay. So use the free one as much as you can ahead of time to get as much content and ideas that you can. And then as the paid one comes out, you're going to have to pay to play more or less. So that's really important. Okay. So one of the changes, Alex says, just 2 days ago, the website didn't have the history of what you've used it for. So it's constantly changing. I mean, thanks, Alex. It definitely is. All right, let's move on. I'm looking for questions and comments. So let's see what Blaine says. Blaine says he edited about 30% of his own words, but the content's 100% mine. Yeah, exactly, Blaine. You can take it as a foundation, but again, be cautious. If you're just copying and pasting, it's going to hurt your rankings and it's going to hurt your efforts in the long run. But this does help people with writer's block. It helps people with basically, it's like hiring an employee who's a sentient being that you can work to help you, but they might be filled with bad information too. So you have to be discerning, certainly. Okay, so how do you actually incorporate this into your strategy? Well, first, before you get too deep in the rabbit hole, which you can certainly do, what do you want it to do and what are your objectives? Okay, what do you want it to do? You want to analyze your data, you want to train your systems. So, we're talking about ChatGPT, but AI is really the focus of this. And, it's just think about the impact it's having with students writing their essays or with people. There are stories that people have gone to ChatGPT and said, write me a children's book about blank, whatever the topic is. Create the characters based on animals and use metaphors. Write at a 5th grade level. And it puts out all this content. Then you could type in, describe the main characters in detail, and it'll give you a narrative. Then you can copy and paste that description into another AI program that creates artwork. And you can illustrate your children's book in one day, from the narrative to the illustrations to the whole thing. Then you can go to Create Space and upload it and put it on Amazon. And people are doing that right now. So now they're creating children's books using this tool. Now, we're not going to get into the legal issues. Is that plagiarism? Is that copying? Yeah, I think that there's a lot of serious concerns that you need to think about for those things. But just the impact that this is making on everybody and how this is going to be everywhere. I think it's going to be in our cars. I think it's just going to elevate. So if you think about Siri and Alexa, and I hope my thing doesn't turn on, it probably will. Those are like pencils, and the other technology is like a supercomputer. So we're all fascinated with those voice-activated search devices. But imagine when they get smarter and smarter and smarter. Imagine when you get a robot or something connected to all of your devices that follows you around and learns and gets smarter every day. So that's really the impact. So again, if you have questions on this topic, I want you to type it in the chat. Blaine, thanks for asking a couple of those questions. That's really, really helpful. So now, as we wrap up this episode, because I want you to go play with this thing, I want you to go use it. And for the purposes of everything, I'm going to go ahead and go find the actual slide that had the link on it again to put it up on the screen. Okay, so this one is the slide. So I'm going to put this up full screen. So I want you to go to chat.openai.com. I want you to set up your account, and I want you to start using it. And then I want you to apply what we've talked about today. I want you to apply the things we talked about, the caution. And I want you to remember that it's only going to make critical thought become more valuable. So as everybody uses this, you're going to become a commodity. And one of the things that we did is I just got back from the National Speakers Association. It's called the CSP Summit, which is for certified professional speakers. And we talked about this in our mastermind group. And we talked about the impact it's going to have on experts and thought leaders like us who present keynote presentations, who speak around the world and help guide audiences on a variety of topics, both B2B and B2C. So the impact it's going to make on my career and how having critical thought is going to become even more valuable. Having personalized attention and not doing the technology is going to become even more valuable. So I want you to look at this from 2 points of view. Not only how you can use it right now with the objectives you have in your organization, with your sales and marketing, because it can write sales scripts and email campaigns. I mean, it can do a lot, especially the more content you feed it, the better the conversations get. But I want you to think about how you're going to position yourself to show the value. So what we're doing, which is one of the reasons I did this episode, is we're showing our clients that we're still valuable, we're still relevant and timely and topical. Because it's not just about the content, it's about the strategic part that the AI, at least at this point, can't provide. And so for you and your business, what are some of those things that you need to do too? All right, well, that wraps it up for this week's episode of Fordify Live. I hope you go to chat.openai.com, connect with me, put comments. How are you using it? What are you using it for? What other dangers did I forget? And I'll see you Wednesdays. Whoop, we got it. Well, I did the show notes too quick. Hang on. Alex did this whole slide for me. I got to go back all the way to the end here now, Alex. Sorry, man. So we got to go to, really? This is really good for the ending of the show, but this is real live, guys. We are live and in color. Here we go. So join me Wednesdays at 11 a.m. Central, where we're live on LinkedIn, YouTube, and Facebook, helping you accelerate your growth and fortify your business. All right, closing music. I'm out of here. Thanks for that. Bye-bye, everybody.